There he is.
Hi, Matt. How are you?
Doing good.
Good.
Matt and Susie on Suzilla.
Yay! Welcome to Susie Health Solutions, the Enrollment Center for Wenatchee, Washington.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, okay.
Happy Thursday, everyone. It is. Did we do this last week?
We did not do this. This is the first podcast of 2022.
That's right. We did. What did we do last Thursday?
We were snowed in.
That's right. We could have podcast from the house, though.
We didn't have the equipment, and it sounds kind of tinny when we don't have a microphone.
That's true. It doesn't sound as nice.
Yeah. So it
So
really,
yes, I forgot. We had snowpocalypse.
yeah.
Or snowmageddon, or whatever you want to call it.
I'm on the Snowmageddon side.
You like snowmageddon? Oh,
Yeah.
I'm okay with snowmageddon. I'm either way with it.
Yeah, we had
Okay, either way.
all the passes shut down for at least 4 days.
Yeah, the whole weekend was out.
One of the passes is just opening up today.
Was it one of them had a? Yeah, Stevens
is
is
just opening up today.
I want to say White Pass has got a boulder in the middle of it, so they're still working on that.
Yep. So yeah, it's been a mess, but we kind of wrote it out really nice.
Yeah, we did. We worked from home because we
Mhm.
can. A couple things that had to be done in person, so we rescheduled them for this week. We still kept on top of our clients. We've got
That is a different topic on the remote. That's completely different. We are going on purchasing.
Oh.
Buying.
I'm just saying we took care of our people when we were stuck at home. But yeah, if we're on purchasing and buying, look, it's Amazon.
Mm-hmm.
I just realized I need a new set of headphones.
Okay.
I do.
So anyway, we were talking about buying because we kind of wrote out the storm without needing too much extra.
Yeah, we did. We actually had a pretty decent. We had enough. Well, when it came to food, we were fine.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we actually kind of started overstocking and creating a little bit of an extra pantry when COVID hit originally a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
Because we knew that there was going to be an issue with supply chain.
Yeah, yo-yoing back and forth.
Right.
And the term is a lot of people have forgotten some of the old standards,
Mm-hmm.
and they buy it because they need it now,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a just-in-time model.
Sometimes, though, you got to realize, and this is something that you don't necessarily. I know we've encountered this on a personal basis. Mm-hmm. Sometimes when you're broke, you got to do it just in time because, yes, you might get a better deal on a 6-pack of paper towels, but it costs $5.99, and a single thing of paper towels costs 99 cents, and you got 99 cents to spend.
Okay,
and that happens, and that's a whole economy situation.
That's an economy, but inflation,
yes, which is happening right now.
It's
pretty bad.
And what is key to that means the consumers have more money in their pockets than there are goods to buy, and so the price goes up.
Why do we have more money in our pockets?
Because we've been doing well. Everyone's hiring. Everyone's getting raises. We're jumping jobs.
Rates went up. Yeah. So they're raising rates on raising prices. That's what.
Well, they don't have enough goods. The supplies are low, so they have to raise prices. It's basic supply and demand.
Well, problem is the prices aren't necessarily going to go back down.
Some do, some won't.
Yeah.
If there's a glut in the market,
they'll stagnate and they'll have to adjust. Yeah.
So this is.
The economics has never been my strong suit. I've not done a lot of studying on it. I've got some of the basics down. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to defer to the fact that you've done a lot more investigative digging on it than I have.
Well, I had actual purchasing agents I've worked with.
Well, exactly, I haven't.
And they did simple rules like have always 2 vendors, so you're not relying on one. So if one jacks the rate, you can jump over to the other.
Yeah.
Simple little things like that. It's like, if you only have one grocery store, if they raise the rates,
you're stuck.
You're stuck.
There's no that's why competition's important.
Mm-hmm. But you did some. One of the best things, since we have a teenager, is you've been running like we had like 4 gallons of milk going into this thing.
He's been going through, well, he's a teenager, so he goes through a lot of milk.
Yeah.
And so and milk's been a decent price lately. It's gone up in the last week or so. But what I've been doing is instead of just buying 1 gallon of milk, because a gallon of milk wouldn't last us the week.
Yeah.
So I started buying 2 gallons of milk. Well, he wouldn't necessarily go through both gallons. So I'd have, when we did the grocery shop on Friday, because we usually shop on Friday, we'd end up with like 3.5 gallons of milk in the refrigerator. Well, I think that's about where we landed when Snowpocalypse hit.
We had at least 2 gallons.
I want to say we had
2 gallons that Thursday.
Yeah, 2.5 gallons. And that was enough to get us through. And then some. We still have a nice little supply. A good example of supply chain issues was this shop, because there's a lot of brand substitutions.
Yeah, we had to delay the shop until Sunday.
Yes, we delayed on Sunday. They had a problem with their system on Saturday.
Yeah.
So that delayed. We normally would have gone. We usually normally do a Friday shop.
Well, yeah, we normally do. We normally do a Friday. However, Saturday the corporate decided, oh my gosh, instead of 15 orders, we're gonna approve 58.
Yeah, they screwed up.
So they didn't have the staff to accommodate that.
No, not at all. Oh, just so you know, we're using the drive up and go feature. With the Safeway Albertsons model. It's really handy. You place your order online, you you pull up, you say, hey, I'm here, and they bring your groceries out. So that's what we're talking about.
Yeah, and one of the things about that it really eliminates is the impulse buying.
It really does. I mean, there is some, but it's really, really reduced.
Well, yeah, you can't grab that candy bar by the register.
Nope, you can't grab the candy bar by the register, but when you're doing the shop, it's not so hard to go, boop, oh, look.
Yeah.
Jelly beans. Boink.
But you also, end caps.
Oh, yeah.
End caps are gone.
Yeah.
Special displays, trial samples, gone. So it's done. It's
changed those dynamics.
It's changed those dynamics. So if they haven't had, worked on their website and their purchasing, those, advantages that the store has, the seller has, are eliminated.
Yeah. Now, not everybody uses these tools. A lot of people still do. They're just basic everyday roll in and shop. So they haven't lost them. They're just the effectiveness has been reduced.
They don't have those tools. However, those sellers still have those tools engaged.
Yes.
That is the seller's marketplace.
But it's become a buyer's world.
And, you being a buyer, it's like, okay, what do I need and how do I do it and how do I get the best deals for my family?
Yeah. And we do that.
And that's a good example of using the environment to your advantage so that you don't purchase extra things, things you want but not necessarily need.
Exactly. This is what, exactly. Magazines. Yeah, this has got to be killing the National Enquirer.
No.
Yeah. So another good example of us having enough stashed to make it through is whenever we do spaghetti or chili or any of the big one pot that has a lot of ingredients, because Matt makes a crushingly good chili and an amazing spaghetti sauce. But we always try to have at least 2 batches worth of ingredients in the house. And that's why we were able to make spaghetti one night.
Yeah, we made spaghetti one night. It's having supplies on hand. You don't have to have something, a year in advance necessarily. No. But something that you can get through, a couple of days bounce. Exactly.
Well, and that's part of a sort of a survival philosophy, I guess. That's where canning comes in. When it was old school, you just had to build up stores.
Yeah, you had to build up stores to make it through the winter. We've done it before where we've gone to one of our local ranchers and bought a large box of meat.
Yes, which we should probably do again one of these days, especially since the price of beef has gone up really high.
Yeah, it always shoots up about this time of year.
Yeah, well, and then if you work with a local rancher, you're not dealing with supply chain issues. So you're not paying, $24 a pound, which I've seen that. You might be paying a slightly more, quote, premium price, but you are getting a much better cut of meat, generally speaking.
You do deal with some of the inflationary issues,
well, it's the cutting and the packing and the wrapping and all that.
Well,
and
yeah, you got the labor cost of that, but you also got the fuel
and feed.
Huh? Those are two big issues,
particularly. It does raise the cost.
Particularly like the feed. Our state, a lot of it was wiped out with the wildfires.
That's true. That did make a difference. But you're also supporting a small business if you go with a local purveyor, which is not a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And again, you also know where your supply chain personally. And a good example, there was a ground beef recall.
Oh yes, the E. coli.
That went through not that long ago.
Yeah, I want to say it was Kroger, Walmart,
and Safeway.
Yeah,
which reminds me, I checked ours. We're fine.
Okay.
But if you use a local purveyor, you're not going to run into that problem as frequently.
As long as they're a good purveyor.
As long as the butcher shop provide, and they're small butcher shops. They're not giant industrial situations where they're grinding every piece of meat that they can get their whole hands on, shoving it in the grinder for ground beef. They're just using the scraps from this specific cow or this specific group of cows.
But that's a good example of buying something that you don't necessarily need all right now,
but you're stocking
you're going to use in the near future.
Yeah, exactly. And that's your quick stuff. That's your groceries.
Mm-hmm.
What about larger goods?
Okay, that's where
durable goods.
That's where things get tricky. Well, let's start with a really soft good, because we have someone that's we do life insurance,
right?
And health insurance is a good example. There's a limited time to purchase it. You can't
just get life insurance when you're 75. Well, you kind of can.
Well, you've got to meet underwriting requirements, but health has one with this Saturday.
Yeah. Oh, that. Yeah.
And that's a big one. It's like, if you delay in certain purchases, you may never be able to purchase those again.
Mm-hmm. So you have to. Oops, sorry. Hit the wrong button on my phone.
Mm-hmm. So life insurance is a good one. There are times that we've had people roll in and say, "Hey, I'm stuck in the hospital. I need long-term care."
Or I just got diagnosed with blah blah. I need health insurance.
Yeah, that's now during open enrollment. That's not a big deal for health insurance.
It really isn't. But if you're outside of the open enrollment, being sick or being injured or being pregnant does not count as a qualifying condition.
Yep. So you are outside of the purchasing window,
and we just have to see what we can do. I mean, there's some things that can be done if you're pregnant. Expanded Medicaid your income might be low enough that expanded Medicaid would sweep you into their coverage.
Yes,
and that's a 24/7 thing, but that's
not
a guarantee.
Yeah, and we've seen that before. So that's one of those things you gotta be aware of if you're making purchases like that. Is you can't you gotta plan.
Yeah,
and it does boil down to a little bit of planning. It's like, what questions are you asking yourself when you buy things? Are you asking, "Hey, do I need this?" If your budget's tight, do I need this right now? I had one of my favorite stories, and I love them to death. Was I had an employee at one time that would buy the latest and greatest phone.
Yeah.
And this was like about every 3 months they'd show up. It's like, "Oh, I got this new shiny phone," and it's like, "You haven't paid off the last one." And there was only one member of the household working, and their partner had to have the latest greatest phone as well.
Oh, dear.
And I'm like, okay, how are they going to use it? It's a tool. Well, they need to call out. Cool. Get one of those little things, plug it into the computer, and call out. Get a landline. It's cheap. It's a lot cheaper than that phone because they're having issues with buying. But it's like, no, they need to have this. It's like they don't need to have that.
Now, I acknowledge this about myself. And we make fun of it on a regular basis. We call it the shiny thing alert. I am extremely susceptible to new phone advertising.
Yep.
However, I also know that I am extremely susceptible to new phone advertising. And I might poke around and I might, window shop, but I don't buy until I need it.
Well, it's got to be an actual justified need.
Exactly.
We actually did a good job with purchasing your last computer.
Yes. We had a justifiable need.
We had a justifiable need. We didn't buy the latest and greatest model.
No.
We stepped it down one.
Exactly. It was the outgo. It was the year prior's model. We bought it in like January, so we got the year prior's model. And
that's one of the ways you can cheat because they're wanting to push out the next model. You've got one that's been worked on. It's true. They're not fishing out any bugs, and we're going to run that thing until it dies.
Oh yeah.
My partner, when he purchased a computer for me, same time frame. I'm kind of overrunning the computer.
Yeah, yeah.
Because he purchased it not because it was the second step down, but it was like, okay, I think this is a good model. It's cheap. Let's run it. And I'm almost overrunning the graphics on it at this point.
It was not the cheapest, but it wasn't. It was in the bottom third.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's I love him to death. We grew up in a similar environment of poor parents. And he hasn't really adjusted his buying.
No. And that's something that's deep, that can get really deeply ingrained in you. It's the paper towel analogy I just did.
And that's kind of important, and we're kind of programmed for it at an early age, particularly us, had to fight every inch of our life of this. Oh, I'm going to buy it because I absolutely need it right now. It's like buying your house insurance when your house is on fire.
Yeah.
It's odds are they're not going to sell it to you, and if you do, it's not going to be in your favor.
No.
So you gotta take. Okay, it's like and you can't always buy it, a month out before your house catches on fire. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, I bought this policy 10 years ago. My house caught on fire. I'm covered.
And there's a lot of people who argue, well, I've been paying this forever and I never used it, blah, blah, blah. It's just a waste of money. That's not the way to look at it.
Well, insurance is one of those weird things. It's a community.
Yeah. Well, people don't think of it that way, though. They think of it only from their own personal perspective. They're not seeing the community concept of it. The investment pool, as it were.
Well, they don't see the community until they wonder why their taxes are bailing out a wildfire that took out 600 homes. Well, happen to have insurance. So there's a problem right there, and they don't always bail those folks out in a good manner either.
No, if you're lucky, you might get something.
Yeah.
But insurance works in a pool system. You pay your premiums every month, and it goes into the big piggy bank.
Yep.
And the big piggy bank pays 20% for health insurance. 20% of the piggy bank goes to the company's overhead. 80% goes to paying the claims on everybody else in the pool.
And if they don't pay that 80% out for health insurance,
the policyholders get it back.
Yeah, the policy owners. That's an important one.
You said holders. Yeah, you're right.
And the reason why I have to make that distinction is like the group plans. Well, that if they don't pay that out, it goes to the businesses. If you have an individual policy, it goes to you, the individual.
Exactly. So that's a plus for you. And we've had people we personally have gotten refund checks from companies.
They cut checks last year. They'll probably cut checks this year. This year, because it's kind of a weird balancing act. In 2021, yes, they had less expenditures on health stuff. Because they were shut downs, and so people couldn't
the everyday, the preventatives, the small things,
the little things that add up.
Yeah.
However, what increased was the long-term care.
Yeah.
They had more payouts. They had a big jump. And then the biggest one was the death benefits of life insurance.
Oh, yeah.
There was big-time payouts of that.
Big time, because a lot of people died.
Yeah.
Hundreds of thousands of people died.
Yeah.
And a big chunk of them had life insurance policies.
Yeah.
So we're going to see some rate changes.
To give you an idea, the 18 to 64 range, there was a 40% increase in deaths last year.
Wow.
So yeah,
I didn't know that.
It was a huge. It was COVID was the number 3 killer, but because of how the numbers play out, there was a large portion that was different deaths. They couldn't really blame it on that. Like, they roll up, someone's been dead for a week. It's like, they're dead. Go bury them. A lot of the coroners, there were some coroners that say, oh yeah, they told me that they had a heart condition. I wrote heart attack. They're not doing autopsies on everyone because
they can't. There's too many.
Well, it's also policy, family wishes.
Well, and you don't autopsy everybody unless it's a total mystery as to why they died.
So yeah, you've got a large portion of the population that have died out. We're going to see the same thing probably in 2022. And so you kind of plan accordingly. We'll probably see an increase in last year in Washington State, we saw the long-term care market. A lot of them pulled out of the marketplace because they saw buyers come in with intentions not to maintain policies,
right? To not contribute to the pool.
Well, yeah, they plan on purchasing it, getting their certificate, and then dumping it,
which is a waste of time and money for everybody involved.
Yes, it's not.
It's not good business.
It's not good business. So yeah, they pulled out, and everyone freaked out, and hopefully the legislators will work on it this year.
They're tinkering with it again.
So they'll tinker with it. So we're going to see some adjustments. We're definitely going to probably see some adjustments in the life insurance market with the rates going up.
Absolutely.
I do not. And here's one of the goofy things, and this is one of the conversations I had today. It's like, oh, should I buy this policy or that policy? And it's like, you can buy both.
It's true. You can have more than one life insurance policy.
And that's one of those things that is serious. It's like, yeah, nothing stops you from having more than one life insurance policy. Nothing stops you from having more than one long-term care policy. The only thing that stops you is your ability to pay the bills.
That's right. If you can't pay it, then that's not going to work.
And it helps, you down the road. That's one of those things. It's like, yeah, sometimes you got to put in that planning. It's like, yeah, I may not need this pickup truck today, but I'm going to need it, next month for that construction job.
Yeah.
And that is a big, that's planning on what you're going to do. You're not sitting on the couch. You're not eating your bonbons. You're not watching the Hulu or the cable TV.
The Hulu.
The Hulu. I'm going to do the Hulu there. So
you might just get the diabetes if you watch the Hulu and eat the bonbons.
Exactly. So yeah, you've got to, do a little bit of planning, and there should be some thought when you purchase things.
Think ahead. Okay, you're buying a car. Do you need? Why are you buying a car? Because it's the new shiny thing, or did you break down the other car? Is it just time for a new car? What are you going to use that car for? Are you going to be hauling stuff around? Have you got half a dozen kids you're going to be hauling to soccer practice? Do you need it to tow with? Do you just need something that zooms around town? Do you need an SUV? Do you need something more economical? You got to think long term, and most people do when they're buying a car. Use those. Some people do when they're buying a car. You're supposed to do that when you're buying a car.
There is appropriate because of the Hummers.
Some people.
Because I remember
you're supposed to think that way.
I remember the cash for clunkers, and it's like, oh, hey, let's turn in your clunker car and let's turn around and get a shiny new clunker.
Yeah, ultimately it was. But the fact is, you're supposed to think of these things. That's one thing you're supposed to think about when you're buying a car, but you can also apply that to other factors in your life.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Just think in those terms, and ultimately your dollar will probably stretch farther. Mm-hmm. Which is we're running into a situation right now where we have to figure out how to make our dollars stretch a little bit because inflation's up, mm-hmm. and you might have theoretically gotten more money coming in, but it doesn't always.
Oh, it doesn't last.
It doesn't last.
It never does, and it's one of those things. We work really hard, and we've been, we have a lot of projects, and one of the simple things we did last year, and we talked about it, mm-hmm. was our coffee consumption. We stopped going to our little daily coffee stand, and
we love, by the way.
We love, and we made our own.
Yep.
And we went back to treat stats, and that's kind of important. It's like, I want coffee every day, but do I need to have it at the stand, or can I make it myself?
And if you think about it, a can of coffee, if you buy it on sale, can cost you about $6. It'll last about 3 weeks. The way we go through coffee at our house. Mm-hmm. $6 is one of those cups of coffee. Multiply that
by 20,
and suddenly you wasted a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, it's a treat thing. But one thing we also did is we invested in the tools to make a better cup of coffee.
That's true. We turned around and used that money we would have spent and got ourselves a French press and electric tea kettle.
Which, by the way, highly recommend. Electric kettles. Why did I not buy one of those sooner?
Yeah, it's one of them because they were, well, I know why I didn't get French press because they were snooty.
Yeah, but we tried one out and it's like, well, damn, we like this.
Yeah.
It takes, all of 4 minutes to brew a good cup of coffee.
So yeah, there are ways you can invest in yourself. You got to put a little bit of thought into purchase, mm-hmm. and we've got we're looming 3 years out. Mm-hmm. Kid in college.
Yeah, I know. God, don't remind me.
So we know that expense is coming.
Yeah. We're gonna make it work.
We're gonna make it work because our goal has always been to our kids to be better set up than we were.
Yeah. And one of the things I don't want to have him happen is end up in debt. We might have to do some small debt, mm-hmm. but I don't want him to be $700. Yeah, I don't want him to be $70,000.
Oh, he won't. We're making steps in it, and he is one of those. He is horribly frugal. He's more pragmatic than we are at the points.
Yeah, he reminds me of me when I was younger.
And one of the things that we're probably going to do is running start. Mm-hmm. He's already taken his first college class.
That's right. His calculus class is getting college credits.
Yeah, at Central Washington. He's 15, already knocking out some college credits.
Exactly, and we love it.
And it didn't cost us anything, did it?
Like $275.
Okay, so $275. He's already in. Next year,
it's running start.
Is next year's running start, which means we need to look into that, but that's planning ahead. Yeah, that's planning ahead.
Because he can graduate high school with a bachelor's degree, with an
associate's
degree, which gives him transferable to certain situation credits, and he can take it up to one of the universities, and it gets him a running start.
He's got one degree in there. One of the things that is out there is, and I looked, I think it was last year, mm-hmm. If he wanted to go, say, the University of Washington, because I am a veteran, mm-hmm. and he's a child of a veteran, mm-hmm. he can get half off tuition.
There you go.
So it's that long-term planning.
Yeah, state schools,
that pays off.
The state school options if it's available. the half off this, the percentage of that. It's like, well, he's got some Native American, ancestors, so maybe we can utilize. There's so many things we can do. There's just planning ahead.
Yeah.
So we've got to be running out of time.
We are, and so hey, here's the thing. When you purchase something, you put a little bit of thought into it. Mm-hmm. When Susie first looked at Amazon and its Shop Now feature, it's like, oh, that is dangerous.
Yeah, I turned that off.
And
the buy now.
Yeah, in-app purchases on cell phones. Yeah, bad. Don't do that. Pay attention to where you're at.
Put an extra step in that makes you think about it for a second.
Yeah, because the sellers, they don't want you to think. We let people walk away all the time and say, "Oh yeah, here, figure this out," mm-hmm. and we'll poke on them a little bit later. It's like, hey, if you thought about it,
you got a deadline.
You got a deadline, because we do have deadlines.
Yes, we do.
But yeah, put a little bit of thought in purchases, and your budget will stretch a lot farther.
It'll go farther. Avoid the impulse purchasing. Mm-hmm. And you would be surprised how that 99 cents here, 99 cents there, that crap adds up.
Yep.
Okay, that's a good place to stop.
So, hey, have a great week.
Enjoy your Thursday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Take Monday off if you get Martin Luther King Day off. So happy birthday, Martin Luther King.
Yay.
Bye.
Bye.